Hi, nice to meet you. I guess I want to start with why you're running for this position and tell us a little bit about that.
Sure, my name is Shiry Sapir, and I'm running for Superintendent of Public Instruction. That's to head the Department of Education in Arizona. I'm running because I have 3 young children, and with the shutdowns and the COVID policies that were rolled out for our children a couple years ago, I got activated along with other parents and mama bears and papa bears, and fought with the district. They did not want to open the schools, and ended up pulling my kids out, put them in a private school, went through all that process. And just through that, there was a lot of outrage and outcry from a lot of families, and I felt called to do something. I don't like to be a keyboard warrior. It's not my personality. I like to make the change that I want to see, and unfortunately, in the political environment we're in, we have people that don't care about children. So I wanted to run and be sure that we have somebody who cares about children in that position.
Just recently, we hear about the second pandemic on the horizon with monkeypox. How would you handle that type of crisis in the schools?
Well, I was against the shutdowns then. I will be against the shutdowns every single time they come up, because we know, and we knew before, there were a lot of voices that said this is not going to work out for our children, it's not necessary. The ramifications of the shutdowns are going to far exceed the benefits of maybe not spreading the virus in the community, and we know now, 2 years later, that was true. The kids did not contract the virus in a high rate. When they did, they were mostly asymptomatic, and they didn't transmit it to adults. So, and even if there's going to be a virus that's worse, I mean, unless we're being hit with something that is impossible to even, we need our children in the schools. We need to keep their environment as normal as possible. There are a lot of different ways to mitigate some of the transmission that's going on in the schools with, filters and ventilators and other things. And the damage, I see it now. I've gone around the state. The damage is getting close to be irreversible. Number one, they are so far behind, and there's no plan to really get them caught up, so I'm not sure how that's going to work out for them. I know I have a plan when I get in office, but they're very much behind. And the emotional, result of that was kids that are completely fearful. They are isolated. They're depressed. They have missed out on proms, on graduations, on just being a kid for way too long, and I will reject that with all my heart every time I can. If I have anything to say, I would always say no to the shutdowns.
Do you say no to masks, or how do you think you'll deal with that?
Absolutely. I was adamantly against masks from the beginning. That's why I pulled my kids out as well. They were in a private school without a mask. It was very important for me. I never accepted the notion that that was necessary, and I will always be against masks. Thankfully, we just passed a law here in Arizona, so the schools are not going to be able to mandate masks without the consent of a parent. So that was a huge win, I feel, for the next time around.
What's your plan as far as catching the kids up?
So there was a lot of billions of dollars that rolled into the state from the federal government, and I think the best use of that money would have been not to buy more hand sanitizers, but to actually roll out summer school programs, tutoring programs, having every child get a tutor for an hour or two every single day to get them caught up. It will only take you a couple of 3 months to get them caught up if you're intensively doing so.
Yes.
But they did not do any of this. And so we'll see once I get into office in 6 months how much money is going to be left and where I can, scrape that money from. But I would like to have tutoring programs. I would like to have summer school programs, even during the breaks, if parents want to participate, because every instructional minute that we can bring in front of our children right now is going to be monumental for their future success, just because they're so behind. So I'll find whatever funding I can to roll out those programs, and parents are going to have to participate and find, if they find it in their heart to do so, we'll make it as easy as we can and as known as we can to them. We can't force anyone, but we'll do what we can.
What do you feel your primary qualifications for this position would be? What are the best attributes you bring to the table?
I'll keep telling people A few years ago, I would have been completely irrelevant for this job. I do not have I'm not part of the education apparatus. I have a real estate investment company. I'm a general contractor. I served in the Israeli military. So my life experience is vastly different than what which you might expect from a politician that's running for an education position. But I think we need people with conscience, number one, right now. We need people with strong convictions. We need people that are fighters, not just fighting for the sole purpose of fighting, but to fight to bring positive change and to protect and defend the children. I think I'm uniquely qualified to do that because I know who I am and how strong I am. I also outworked everybody in my race because I am just a very hard worker. And I think we need somebody who's not just going to go to that office as a stepping stone to the next job or just to get a paycheck or get on a pension from the government. I could care less about the little that's being paid from that position. This is about rescuing our children. And I do believe that we need people who will do what's right and know to manage. I've managed a lot of people. I've managed a lot of money for people. This is a huge business. The half of the budget in Arizona goes to education. It's a lot of money, and we have people who are grossly incompetent handling our money. And again, they see everything within the box of their experience in government or in education. I'm coming with fresh eyes, with innovative ideas, with we can do anything we want to do type of attitude because I'm not confined to that experience within the education. And I'm not invested in the public schools. I'm not invested with the teachers' unions. I'm not invested with special interest groups. I'm invested with one special interest group, and that's the children. So I think that would work out for Arizona.
Having to manage a budget for a private company, how would you bring that experience to government? Can you think of any areas you might cut or reduce staff in to better optimize our budget?
Absolutely. Government is never as economical and efficient as the private sector is. It's just the way it is. And the education system is very bloated here in Arizona. A lot of top administrative paying jobs, all the way into the local schools. I cannot control what different schools are going to do with their money, but I will encourage them, I will guide them, I will try to make some suggestions and help them out. With school choice, I think that's going to open up a lot of good opportunities for good businesses who are looking for the bottom line, basically for themselves, to actually operate these schools. When it comes to the department, I know there is hundreds of people working for the department. We're going to look at who they are, what they're doing, if they're effective, and if not, we're going to cut those salaries. But this is not where the most money is spent. The money is spent on programs that are duplicate programs, governmental programs that are doing nothing for anyone. We have a lot of money being spent right now on equity, diversity, inclusion. There's a department in the Department of Education that is called Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion Department. I will close that department the first 24 hours I'm in office. This is not the kind of propaganda and activism that I want to see coming out of my department. I will divert the money to programs that work, eliminate what doesn't work, and as I said, look for the bottom line for our investors, the customers, and the taxpayers of Arizona.
When you talk about teachers' pay, which we've heard you talk about, in the private sector, you're rewarded with higher pay for performance. Do you see any way to implement a pay structure that is implemented that would increase excellence among our teachers?
So that's another thing. From the superintendent perspective, I don't hire and fire the teachers. I don't pay. I don't sign their contracts, in the different districts. Sadly, with the 20 by 2020 that Governor Ducey signed, we know the money did not go to the teachers because there was no mechanism when he passed that bill to actually make sure that the money goes only for teachers' pay. So it went into the big pool in the district, and they used it as they may. Some gave 3%, some gave 5%, some gave 15%. So not even adjusting for inflation. So we need to make sure that if we roll any kind of compensation plan that's coming from the state and through the governor's office, we're going to be extremely precise as to where it needs to go, and if not, there should be some mechanism to take it back to the state. We should not leave it with the districts. Wherever I can to incentivize teachers to do a good job, I am very focused on every child can read. initiative that I want to roll out. It's extremely important for me to get our kids to read proficiently and above proficient level as soon as possible. So I want to have a program with phonics, and wherever I can, again, I'm going to have to find out once I'm in office, but where I can compensate a teacher for showing me, and it's not going to be just through standardized tests. It's going to be something else that we're going to have as an indicator for their success. If I can, I will compensate directly from the department with our discretionary funds.
When it comes to critical race theory, you've said you would want to eliminate that. How are you going to do that?
So it's going to be a multifaceted battle. It's going to be through the legislature. We do have a lot of laws already on the books that can be enforced. I mean, starting from the 1964 Civil Rights Act, you cannot discriminate by race. And when they are dividing our children in the classroom by race, or they giving them treatment that is not equal because of their race, and the restorative justice that we see going on in our schools, this is all really creating imbalance in the true equity that we should be seeing in our schools. I mean, I have some teachers who tell me they start their grading at 50%, not 0, because they need to make sure that some minority children have a head start. To me, that's discriminatory. And so we're going to have to engage law enforcement. We're going to have to engage the Attorney General and not a prosecutor. But the job of the superintendent is going to be to make noise about things that people just don't see. You know, all of this protection plan that we're seeing, just covering up everything. You're not going to see that with me. When I see something wrong, we're going to be very vocal about it. We're going to let people know about it. It's not just going to be Shiry Sapir, the pissed-off mom from Scottsdale anymore. It's going to be the superintendent of Arizona bringing in the press, talking about these issues that are going on specifically in the schools. So legislatively is one way to tackle it. Enforcing laws is another way. And changing the culture. A lot of the professional development that the teachers are going through is just infected with equity, diversity, inclusion, critical race theory, and the rest of it. Social emotional learning. It's a disaster. So a lot of it is being fostered through the Department of Education. A lot of them are going through programs that the department offers, spending a ton of taxpayers' money for the school board members or their teachers to go through these indoctrination conferences, basically. So I will roll out professional development that actually has to do with professional development. Make these teachers, better handlers and managers of their classroom. Again, learning with teaching them to teach with phonics and other things that are going to really concentrate on making them better teachers. That's a cultural change. People need to understand that critical race theory and all the rest of them are so embedded strongly in our system right now because a lot of people let that happen for a very long time. They just now kind of took the veil out and we're all seeing it, but it's been going on for a very long time. So wherever we can go to court, we will. But I think it's really a cultural thing. Having a different tone coming from the department, rejecting that going on in our schools, not rewarding teachers, revoking certificates when a gross violation of their duties as teachers to make sure that they protect, it's in the statute they're supposed to be protecting our children from harmful information. And when we deem it harmful, it's going to be up to them to prove us wrong. But until then, we can suspend their licenses because we oversee certification of teachers. So, as I said, it's not just one arm that we're going to have to be everywhere we can to create that massive change that we want to see, to eradicate once and for all that nonsense from our schools.
The district and teachers still claim we have no critical race theory.
Sure
Yet they have teachers' trainings, and they say, well, we have a teacher's training, but it's not being taught in our classroom. How do we face that type of denial where they're telling it's not in the classroom, but yet the teachers are going through these special classes?
So, as I said, as a superintendent, I'm not going to be able to, fire these teachers necessarily. But what we can do is, again, I'm going to have on my website, and the Attorney General in Missouri has that on his website. He's calling it Student First. But we're going to have a form where parents can bring us all this information. If they see assignments they don't like, surveys, data mining, books that are pornographic, and they can put a complaint, and we're going to address those right away. The difference is right now, and that's what people need to understand, when we find out about these things, and I can tell you every single day since I've been running, I've been getting text messages from all over the state from parents sending me pictures of pages, pictures of books, videos of their kids, filming their teachers and the horrible things they say to them. So again, I'm not a superintendent yet, so all I've been able to do is kind of put it out there. We did get a couple of teachers fired. We did get a principal fired in Paradise Valley. Not that I would ever want to be after anybody's livelihood, but there was a pornographic book that they were putting out to the kids in an AP class, and we made a lot of noise about it. And they got fired, actually, testified about it in the education committee in the House. And I read to them from that book about bestiality, and because I really wanted them to understand that this is what they're bringing in front of our kids. Now, that's a gross violation of the law. 133506 tells you that it's a class 4 felony when you bring sexual content of any kind in front of a minor. For some reason, when it happens in our schools, it's okay. So I'm going to make sure that when we are finding out about these things, we will pursue them as best as we can. But on my website, you're going to be able to see the schools and their assignments. We're just going to be so visual about it, so parents are going to be able to know, but they're not going to have to dig so far.
When it comes to school choice, can you expand on our options there? I've heard that it's passed, that we should be able to have additional ESA money, and now I've been told there's easy ways to squash that.
Well, SOS right now, several schools has a petition out, and people need to be really careful about signing anything at this point. All the people that need to be on the ballots are on, so any petition you're going to see around town is going to be probably Democrats trying to get something done, so don't sign anything. And right now they're trying to put it on the ballot to reject the ESA expansion that just got signed into law. I'm really hoping they're not going to succeed, but we have to be really careful. I'm sure there's going to be lawsuits. The last thing they want is for us to be free from the indoctrination camps. So, but that battle is going to be fought. However, it's going to be fought. In the meantime, for parents, ESA is going to be available for them here pretty soon, so they can apply. Anybody can apply for it. There's no stipulation as to or criteria, such as the criteria that we had before for the ESA program as it was before this law got passed. So basically anyone can take their ESA money and use it for private school, micro school. You can take a teacher and have 7 or 10 kids. Each of them takes their money, pay that teacher, and there's no problem for anybody for you to use that money from ESA. So it really opened up a lot of options for parents. The problem is that that program right now is being ran by the superintendent. Kathy Hoffman hates that program with passion. That's why we have to have somebody who is extremely pro-school choice as myself. That was what I've been running on, and I'm so happy this happened. It's almost, to me, it was a sign from God that He is with us, and if I'm the superintendent, we're going to, right now you go on the Department of Education website, and it's the nonsense, LGBTQ, equity, this, that, and the other. You're going to have the first page, ESA, apply here, because I want to make sure parents know that, first of all, we empower them. That's number one. From there on, they can make their decisions. While we're empowering them, we're going to try to make the school districts better. We're going to try to make the public school better. But if they don't straighten out their act, then parents must have that option. And I'm very excited that Arizona is now the leader in the nation of school choice. It's a beautiful thing.
How can you encourage your community to be involved, and what would you recommend they do as parents that would want to try NESA or school choice?
Well, many people don't even know about that option. So I would encourage people to start informing other friends and neighbors. As I said, as a superintendent, I will make it very known. I will send letters, I will send emails, I will send text messages. I will make sure parents know they have that option. Because only when that option is vastly available to a lot of people is when I believe the public schools are going to have to say, time out, we have to do some managed control. We are now facing losing a lot of students. Maybe we need to do something different. Until that happens, they have no incentive to change their ways. And to me, ESA is just a tool to get them to clean up their act. Again, if they fail, that's okay. There's going to be other schools. There's going to be more schools opening because, again, up until now, private schools or charter schools even, they had to fund the money without even knowing if they're going to have customers. Now, suddenly, every child in Arizona is worth about $7,000. As a business owner, I would say, well, now I have 1.1 million possible customers. I will open a school. Before that, we had 11,000 kids on ESAs. So as a business owner, you would think twice before you open a school. So I think keeping and the messaging will come from the department. So I assure you it's going to be a different tone once I'm in, and we're going to help the community to give them the tools to know to apply and participate.
What benefit does that competition provide our community? What benefit
what benefit of the competition? First of all, there's a lot of studies already in the last 30, 40 years that show that everywhere school choice was present, in the way of vouchers or in the way of just more private schools coming around public schools, the public schools perform better. It's just the nature of the beast. You suddenly have to compete. I mean, think about how we see in every corner Jack in the Box and McDonald's and Burger King. They're all opening up one next to another, trying to stretch their dollar menu, right? There's no dollar menu anymore, but when there used to be a dollar menu, they would all try to do everything they can, and they're all going to be around each other. And they were part of the strategy and the marketing is to be around each other, right? So people are getting hungry, they see all these signs, they really want to eat something that creates something in us, and then we go in and we look for the best value for our dollar. This is how competition, healthy competition works, and they know it. They don't try to open different places. They're trying to all be together and fight for the customers. And so I believe that that's what we need to have in every community when it comes to schools, because the most important treasure we have is our kids, and the most important product we can buy them is education. So for us to not have competition for that product is absolutely insane.
What would you do differently as far as having a consequence for bad actors when people break the law within our school systems with our children?
So I am not the prosecutor. My best role in this is going to be, again, to suspend or revoke certificates, and we can do that through the State Board of Education. I will be sitting on the State Board of Education along with other 10 appointed members. I don't know how fast the process is right now. I hear from a lot of people that are insiders that it comes up in every meeting, right, the reviewing of certifications and complaints. And that's when Kathy Hoffman leaves the room. She doesn't want to participate in that. She does not want to vote, to deal with discipline of teachers. I will be there, and I will make sure that our parents' voices are heard when somebody did something wrong to their children. So that's going to be how I am able to assist in getting these people. And I think, when people know there's a new sheriff in town, there's a different behavior that you would expect. And I think right now they just know they can get away with so much because that's the culture in the department under Kathy Hoffman, that they do. I think they're going to be a little bit more careful when they know that we have all eyes on them and we have all the intention to hold their feet to the fire.
And on the flip side, if you have a teacher that's excellent, do you have any ideas in your playbook as far as how you can incentivize those good teachers?
So I am going to bring a lot of teacher, professional development classes and courses and all that into to the department. I'm also going to have a detox program, as I like to call it, in the Department of Education, where we're going to train new teachers coming out of NAU and ASU and whatever college prep programs to come to the department and get some training from veteran teachers who really, really know the profession and know to train them well as to what they should expect. A lot of the lack of ability to retain teachers doesn't necessarily have to do with the pay, because they know the contract, the employment contract they sign, I would think. You should know what you're agreeing to be paid. What happens then? It's the lack of discipline, or they just cannot discipline in the classroom. It's the administration not giving them the support they need, and it's really the lack of preparation to the real reality of a classroom. I think all that's done in the teachers prep programs is mostly indoctrinating these teachers, and I've seen the curriculum. I can tell you 100% it's indoctrination, and it's really a shame, because if they prepare these teachers better, they're not going to want to flee the profession as they have been. And that's going to be something that I'm going to try to foster within the department, to really give them the support they need outside of what the district does. And they will be able to communicate with us and get whatever support the district doesn't give them, I will try to create in my department, because teachers are essential for the success of this wheel, to be turning right. And if you don't have good teachers, which I think is the most important element of teaching is the teacher itself, who is giving the instruction. How are they doing it? How effective they are? If we don't have that element or component good, then we can't expect any of the education, learning experience of the child to be excellent.
When people come to your events and they're coming to see you in person, you have registration, have you run into any problems with that or any issues with the turnout based on your competition in interfering?
Yes, well, they do a lot of times. That we had a big event yesterday that a lot of people signed up to take out those tickets and to get us to be on a sold out status, and then they didn't show up. So we've seen that happens from the other side. They do always send those agitators to come and attack you. I was attacked yesterday by somebody who thought, called me that I have this Mossad tactics, and she's clearly anti-Semitic. She was challenging me on BDS and why do you want to teach the Holocaust? And she was just, you're going to have that. I mean, it's just impossible not to have some of that. And now, again, it's just an adjustment as a normal human being that is not used to conflict or to have an enemy of any kind. When people tell you all the time, the enemy is after you, they're after our children, they don't want you to do what you're doing because you're in their way. It's a very unsettling feeling. I never had enemies. Why would anybody not like me? I'm a good person. I'm just trying to help the kids. So it's a very strange feeling because the opposition is real and it's going to get a lot worse after the primary. Right now they're not sure I'm going to win. Once they know I'm winning the primary, I think it's going to get a lot uglier. But I have my armor on. I have God by my side, and I believe that what I'm doing is right. And for better or worse, we're going to keep up the fight because our kids are worth it.
Do you have any endorsements that you're giving out or that are very important to you that you've received?
I'm trying not to endorse. First of all, it's a very humbling position to be in. But I'm trying to stay as neutral as I can in my run because I don't want to dilute the message of this is a children rescue mission. And it's very important for me to bring everyone on board from the Republican side, and I've been managing to do that very well, just kind of staying my lane. The message is about the kids. Everybody should rally behind that message. It should be, there should be a consensus as to what's good and what's bad for children. Endorsements that I received, I'm very proud of. Congressman Paul Gosar, Andy Bix's wife endorsed me. The Mommy Lobby, AZ Cops, they have thousands of different police associations. And about 70% of the senators and House representatives sitting right now on the Republican side have endorsed me. Chepley, Hoffman, Fillmore, Senator Bardo, Townsend, Wendy Rogers. I mean, even people that are rival within themselves have endorsed me because they can see that my message is real, it's organic. They see the fight that I've been putting, having been a nobody, so to speak, in politics. I've made my rounds. I've worked really hard, and they appreciate that, and they know I'm the partner they want to work with to bring those policies that are centered around children and families to the forefront. So I'm very excited and very proud to have made, to have made these coalitions with them because I'm going to need the legislature. I'm going to lobby very strongly for our children. Whatever I cannot do within the realm of my, my authority, I'm going to have to go to the legislature to get those bills passed or put some teeth in some existing bills that don't have teeth in them. So I need their partnerships, and I think we've got a good thing going if we win.
Thank you. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.